Unleash the power of purpose with impactful business voices, hosted by Baki and Anita Larsen. Each week, you'll be inspired by stories from companies that are making a real difference in the world, and you'll learn practical tips on how to grow your business with an impact.
Good morning, or good afternoon for those that are on the opposite side. Guys, thank you for listening to Impactful Business Voices podcast. We are here every week where we talk to business owners that make an impact in the world, in their communities, and in the lives of their clients. We are here to find out what drives them and hope that it inspires you as well to make an impact in your business as well. We're your hosts. I'm Nancy Baki.
And I'm Anita Larsen. Welcome. So we're very excited for our guest today. We have Angie Ruff with us. And we asked her to be a guest because we just really want her to share her story. Her story is so inspirational for any future entrepreneur, as well as anybody in business now, but especially for people that are thinking about starting their business or, thinking, where can I go in the future? I have all these obstacles and challenges. Can I overcome them to become a business owner? And she has overcome so many of those challenges, and the odds have been against her in most ways throughout her journey. So she overcome it all, and she's now a successful business owner. And we really want her story to impact all of you that are in similar situations. So, Angie, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, Angie, welcome. Heard such incredible things about you. What a story that you have. I am really excited that the world gets to know it a little bit more. We want to know first, can you share a little bit about what you currently do so people get to know you, and, just a little bit about your food manufacturing ninja, so that, we get to really share what you're glorious and what you're doing today.
I'd be happy to. So today, the companies that I own and run, we assist business or brands that want to make an impact in the food retail marketplace. And so this could be a brand that's a brand new brand, a regional brand, or even an existing brand that's looking to get out there and add additional products onto the marketplace, whether it's something that they've crafted or they ask for help to. Other things that we help with on the consulting side of our business is we assist restaurant owners that need assistance with consistency in recipe or consistency in the consumer experience with flavor, taste, and just knowing that they can get that amazing flavor every single time they come. And then we also offer assistance with regards to changing up menus, having seasonality, having something new so that the consumer wants to come back to that restaurant again. And then we manufacture anything that is a dry item in that whole entire realm. So seasonings, marinades, drink mixes such as margarita mixes, bakery mixes, cookie mixes, all sorts of amazing, yummy things to eat and drink. And we have a fantastic staff with a food scientist, packaging engineer, a great operational team, and quality that really works hard to deliver something amazing every day.
Sounds delicious.
Yeah.
Gosh.
I love it.
I can't wait to go to one of your restaurants that you've served.
Now, Angie, you and I talked, and I heard parts of your story. So what I heard is so inspiring. And it's one, like I said earlier, it's one of the reasons we wanted to make sure we get you on the show so you can share it with others. So would you mind sharing your story with our audience? Like basically your journey, where did you start from, and how did you get to be where you are today? And feel free to share as much or as little as you feel comfortable doing. But we'd just really like for you to tell your story, if you don't mind.
Certainly, my pleasure. And it is a journey of resilience, obviously, and breaking barriers that I had to overcome, because it was so important to me and myself to honor myself, my faith, and my family, to really overcome any obstacle that came my way. And so I actually start with just even childhood. I wasn't raised in a traditional home. My grandmother and my oldest uncle was incredibly powerful in my life to be that core parental unit until my grandmother passed away. And then my mother came in my life and did the best she could with the resources she had until I went to college. And the career path I chose was pretty much decimated. It was in textile engineering. And in the mid 90s, North American Free Trade Agreement occurred, and a lot of the textile mills in the Carolinas and various other regions within the South closed down to move their facilities in areas that, at the end of the day, bottom line profit was going to be a better option for them, regardless of the country that they moved the operations to. And so all of the people in that industry were fighting for the same jobs. And that led me to, okay, now what? Going on from, okay, if the textiles isn't going to be where I'm going to go, then I moved on to a different type of manufacturing, which at the end of the day, manufacturing it's just different parts and pieces, whether it's a food recipe or plastic and resin or bolts and nuts and metal. It's manufacturing is manufacturing at the end of the day. And so I went from there to plastic extrusion, and I enjoyed my experience and short stint there, but I had some challenges within that organization where that particular organization was very male dominated and very headstrong in the way that things needed to be ran. But if you weren't part of the good old boys club, then you weren't in with the group. And so I knew that was not going to work long term for me because I'm a very direct and ambitious person, and I knew I wanted to continue to grow. So I looked for other manufacturing opportunities and had the amazing opportunity to find a small food manufacturer in Central Florida. And I worked there for 16 years, had the best education on the planet because I had the opportunity to start at the bottom and really work all the way up to general manager. Faced the 2009 crash with how everything went insane in the United States with the housing market, which then in turn related to the grocery store shelf. And it related to the grocery store shelf because people were only buying the necessities. They weren't necessarily buying the specialty products, which was the realm of food manufacturing at the time that I had the most experience in. So we had to innovate. We had to change gears. We had to pivot. And at this time I was working for someone else and putting all of myself into it with the hopes that I would have the opportunity to at least one day perhaps buy one of the owners out, become a partner. And sadly, at the end of 16 years, the owners of that particular company decided that they needed to shut the doors, and that was not a reality for me. So at that point in my life, it was a huge pivotal time in my life. I was facing separation from my husband, and I have 4 amazing children. And I was facing the job loss that I had worked at the same place for 16 years and thought I was going to be there forever. That was my forever home. And okay, now what? What do? I still have to feed my family. I have to support myself. I have to move forward. And I've always had the entrepreneurial bug, but I wasn't quite sure where to go or what to do. So at that point, I took on some consulting roles and got a small little warehouse and got up my own forklift and started doing some distributing for various other brands that I had the opportunity to engage with, and distributed their products from outside. They were imported from outside the United States and then sold at various stores within the United States. And things were going well, just like life. You see the line going up, but of course, something happens and it takes a turn. And that turn was one of my new consulting clients had bought the assets of my former employer and had asked if I would run them. I said, sure, let's do it. But please know that I have these other items going on. And I was having challenges getting those assets moving and started. And I had a decision if I was going to go work for that company full time or still continue my dream of entrepreneurship. Well, the decision was made for me. The very next week after I had this decision on what I was going to do, a hurricane came through Florida and ripped the roof off of my warehouse and destroyed absolutely everything
Oh my goodness.
inside. So at that point, the decision was pretty much, okay, let's file the claim for the insurance. Let's settle everything down. I wasn't going to have any financial impact other than I wasn't going to have all these items anymore.
Mhm.
Let's move over and take this job until I can figure out really where I'm going. So I took the position and I just was never really happy. I truly wanted to make an impact and a path that I could have control over, and that I knew that I could provide a service not only to my customers, but be a partner to my vendors and be impactful to employees. Because I really wanted to create a company that employees felt heard, seen, and like they were making a difference. Even if we're making food, we're still making a difference. And so a couple years into this other role, the company that I worked for was not doing well financially. And although I had made great strides and even got them to a profitable state within a 6-month period of time, the stars just didn't align and the company had to close. So when the company had to close, I remember sitting in my office going, okay, now what? Here I am again at this great.
Again, yeah.
And I took that moment in time and really said, okay, am I going to go get another job and work for someone else, or am I going to do this? And as I was talking to employees about where they were going to go and customers about how we can transition them to other manufacturers, I just knew that I needed to open my own business and really take this vision of mine where my whole purpose was I wanted to impact smaller brands, smaller customers, smaller restaurants that can't normally or necessarily get the assistance of a manufacturing co-packer in the food industry at the level because they're too small. And so the goal was, let's create a small mobile modular manufacturing plant that can handle multiple types of customers and help them realize and see their dreams, bringing consistency, cost effectiveness, and the variety that these particular brands and restaurants need to support their goals and support their dreams of what they're trying to accomplish. So after talking to a few customers, I think I shared part of this with Anita before, was I had several customers ask me, where are you going?
Yeah.
And I was so blessed and so lucky that my reputation of being a problem solver, my reputation of caring and really putting forth an effort to invest myself, not only in my job, my role, but in my customers' businesses, afforded me the opportunity to start a business with customers already under my arm that came with me as I started my own journey. And it's been 5 years now. I have, I think I have a few employees still from when we got started 5 years ago.
Right.
We have experienced super highs, which were amazing. And we've experienced some really rough lows, including through COVID. One of our customers, their particular customer were receiving products via container, and we could not get containers. And so we saw additional drops in business right after we had hit our highest number ever. And, you have to pivot, turn, figure out, okay, how can I move my business forward and still have my end goal? It's the whole mindset of, with the goal in mind or the end in mind, as long as you're flexible with the means, you're going to get there. You just have to stay at it, and keep moving forward. And
what an experience.
That's my career journey. That's my experience. Yeah. And today I have my 4 amazing kids, 12, 16, 22, and 25. And they are very proud of their mom, and I'm proud of them equally, and just thankful and grateful that I get to still keep doing what I enjoy doing and how passionate I am about doing it.
And that's also always a huge part of why we do what we do for our kids. And like we talked about before the show, for our legacy, right?
Yes. Absolutely.
I love your past experience, and thanks for the detail. I think it's so important for businesses to share that, how did they get to that success of where they are today. You help, and I'm just out of curiosity, your clientele is really in the US, only in Florida. How are you in the specific area, or can you work worldwide?
We can work worldwide. Currently, I'm engaging with a client that's in Norway. So, just to give you an example, it's really endless. The manufacturing we do specifically is in the United States. The consulting we can do nationwide. However, we can manufacture in the United States and ship elsewhere, such as we have a client that we ship to the Bahamas. And so it's absolutely possible to work with clients all over. In addition to the manufacturing and the consulting we do, I also own 3 brands, one of which I made in honor of my grandmother who taught me so much. And so the brands that we make that are under the brands that I own, we distribute nationwide. And so you can find those in retailers all across the United States, with the exception of Hawaii. It costs too much for us right now to get it there.
Angie, how did your past experiences really shape your approach to your business and to that leadership style that you have? Because it is different. You have that authoritative voice. Hopefully that's the right word to use.
No, I appreciate that question. And it is slightly different because sometimes you see people that have the empathy, but they don't have the directness on that side, or they have the directness and they have no empathy. I would say starting from the bottom, working as, just alongside everyone else and really moving up, I have appreciation for where everyone is. I am never going to ask someone to do something that I wouldn't do myself. So a very much servant leadership style approach with that. However, the objective is the objective. And we stay on track, we stay on task. Now, there are human elements to everything, and we can have understanding, but we put rules, processes, and obviously SOPs or standard operating processes in place to keep us on the straight and narrow and make sure that we keep our empathy, but we keep it within the realms of still, moving forward a business at the end of the day. The other parts I would say is, as each of those 2 companies that I referenced closed, I unfortunately had the horrific job of telling these individuals that they no longer had a job. The first time it was 22 individuals that lost their job. The second time it was 70. And having to have those conversations and know that, now as a business owner, their livelihood, it's not just about my livelihood, it's about their livelihood too.
Yeah.
And transfer that over to our customers. If we don't deliver, our customers can't get their livelihood made either. So that's really, I think, what drives me is that human element, but the directness of process and procedure keeps me with, some healthy boundaries there of saying, this is what we have to do. This is how we have to do it. Here is our wiggle room. Here's where we can pivot. But at the end of the day, we work together to make this happen.
I love that. And I love how your journey was not just a straight shot to entrepreneurship. You had all these twists and turns, and that's how a lot of us end up where we are, right? And
Absolutely.
and you did this with 4 kids, that I know you had things going on in your personal life, and you still managed to get to where you are now. That is, like you said at the beginning, that is a very resilient journey, a journey of resilience.
And I think what's also really fun is that you never quit. Some people, they go through all that. And again, coming back to that impact that you're doing today from what you've had is what we want the world to know.
Yes, thank you very much.
Mhm.
Something that I share often with employees and others that I have the opportunity to speak with is that I truly believe that your circumstances are not your destiny. While they may shape your experiences, your destiny is truly the mindset you adopt, the actions you take, and having those and having a will of not giving up, like you said, Anita and Nancy. I mean, honestly, it's really that drive, and you have to dig deep, and you have to find what drives you, because it's not the same for everyone. For some folks, it's absolutely their faith. For others, it's their family. For some, it's a combination, or for some, it just may be for self-preservation. Like, I'm going to make this. I'm not going to let this challenge me or push me down to any crazy low, because at the end of the day, we all deserve to win at this thing we call life.
And I think your story also tells a lot about how you go through life and how it rewards you in the end, because you build these relationships with your vendors, your clients, your employees, and you still carry it to this day. And it's probably part of why you're in business today and a business owner today, because you were able to leverage those relationships and continue those relationships, right?
Yes. I mean, business ownership is a team effort, regardless of what you think your team is. The team is your employees, the team is your customers, the team is your vendors. It's absolutely that collaborative workplace, because while, obviously staying profitable is important, obviously staying on time and having your procedures are important, but it's those relationships that if there is a challenge and you can't talk it out or you can't have a conversation, that's you're going to have way more difficult time than if you didn't. And it's hard to have conversations when you feel like you're failing. But it's those conversations that when you get the courage to have them, it's such amazing things blossom and bloom from it.
Story of our life. I love it. No, I'm feeling that. Yeah, no, this is very inspiring. And thanks, Emil, as well. I hear some things from Anita that you do a lot of volunteer work. Would love to know more about what you do and why these causes are really important to Angie.
Certainly. Well, first and foremost, I love volunteering at my kids' schools. That's a huge thing for me. There's a nationwide thing that happens in the United States. I don't know if it happens in Canada also, but it's called Teach In, and they invite business owners and all sorts of type of individuals that have various jobs to come in and show the kids about a little bit about what their day looks like or their job looks like. Now, I am so not as cool as the policemen or the firefighters or anything like that, but I am telling you, I will always be the most memorable if they ever have the opportunity to see my presentation. And so what I do is I actually bring what food manufacturing is, how food gets from the farmer to your plate.
Oh, that's great.
So I bring that in to the kids, and we bring in this giant super sock. It's a tote. It's a big fabric canvas style tote, and it holds about 2,000 pounds of material. But what we do when I bring it in is we see how many kids we can pile in.
Oh, that's awesome.
They get to have fun with it also. But we talk about, the farmer has to make some money. The truck driver that brings the items from the farmer to whatever packaging plant is going to next has to make some money. Then you have all the workers within there and all the materials that go into that. Where do the boxes come from? Where the bags come from? And we take it all the way to the grocery store, and how much the grocery store is going to want to make some money. They have to pay for the lights and the air conditioning and the baggers and everything. And so it's really interesting to have that engagement with kids, because I hope that it brings to them possibly even professions that they've never considered, because it's definitely a fun industry. Beyond that, I also am huge at heart at a organization called Just Her Soldiers Helpers. It's nicknamed Josh. Josh is an organization that's been around for a little over a decade now, and it actually started as a grassroots effort within a PTA of all things to support active serving military in remote locations that necessarily do not have access to a PX or a commissary. And so it sends amazing gift packages to them with the basic materials such as deodorant, razors, magazines that they might want to see because they can't get them, right? Beef jerky, peanuts, popcorn, all these amazing things. And so with that, one of my brands really pushes and heads up an initiative to give back to that organization. And then, of course, we sponsor with their gala every year, and we help out however we can with that. We've had employees that have went and packed packages. We've sent in notes and letters that get to go to the serving soldiers for wherever they are. And it's really near and dear to my heart because we would not be able to have and enjoy the freedoms we have if we did not have those individuals that were brave enough to serve and protect the freedoms that we get to enjoy every single day. I also am very much involved with a few organizations. We are a second chance employer that work with those individuals that have committed crimes, whether it's felony or lesser crimes, and they work with them to find homes for these individuals to work. And I am incredibly proud to say that one of my highest leaders in my organization is one of those people. And she is just one of the most amazing people you could ever meet, and organized and on it, and just grateful for the opportunity for someone to believe in her. And for me, I know that, I've had so many challenges that I've had to go through, and I can't imagine tacking on that, you've gone through these things, you've made amends, and now you can't get a job. It's heartbreaking. It really is. And so my company is very much a partnership with, as I said, a few different organizations that facilitate that. One of them is called Angels of Mercy, and it's located right here in our town. And then we have some other organizations that we work with as well. And beyond that, we also, and I personally also support domestic battered women's shelters. We offer items to them. We send food whenever we have extra food type items. I've worked where I've sat down and done some interview sessions with some ladies that maybe they've never worked before, and they find themselves in this situation, and now they don't have the skills to even go out and get a job. And so I've sat down with some of these women and worked with them with their resume or their, just the interview part of it, and give of my time in that. And I've also recently been working with some other organizations that assist younger kids that are that have perhaps got kicked out of their home, not necessarily a battered women's type shelter, but more of a displaced young adults, and doing the same thing with them. And for me, it's just everybody goes through challenges, and I really just want to be the kind of adult that I wish I would have had when I was going through similar challenges when I was younger.
What a difference you're making in the world. What a difference. I mean, battered women's felon, I mean, they don't know where they're going. No. And you're actually believing in who they are and helping them shape their future. I mean, and it's from your heart. It's not even, bless you for doing what you do every day, my friend. Really.
And my question is, how do you have time for everything that you do? You're running a business, you're running a manufacturing plant, you have your own brands, you're doing consulting, you have 4 kids, and you're doing all this volunteer work as well. It's you're a busy woman.
Yes, absolutely. Live and die by your calendar, right? Absolutely. I mean, you make priorities, or you make time for the things that are a priority in your life. Yeah. And, it's not that I volunteer in each organization every single day, obviously, but I give of my time as much as I have time to give. And it's just when something's important to you, you make the time for it.
So through your journey, because as we just learned, it's been quite the journey and you got to an amazing place, and congratulations to you for going through what you have and coming out to where you are now. But throughout your journey to becoming where you are now, what has surprised you the most? What has been the biggest surprise that you weren't anticipating?
That's a great question. I love that. What has surprised me the most? Because there's been a lot of surprises, let me tell you.
There always is. Yes. Nothing ever goes the way you expect.
I would say, honestly, someone early on in my journey said to me, Angie, don't be surprised if $500 drops off your desk today. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? That can't happen, because I'm very much a process and procedure kind of girl. Mm-hmm. And it absolutely can. It can be whether it's, your time, because your time is valuable. It could be materials, are wasted or come in damaged or whatever the case may be. It's all of those. It's all the stuff that no one tells you about. It's not in a business book. And I don't know that anybody could ever write a business. How huge would that book be, right? I don't know that anyone could ever tell you all those things. And it's the unknowns. It's the power of the unknown, and just, you cannot be prepared for everything. And if you try to, then you're never going to start. That's for sure. But you have to just run with it, but learn from it. So for me, you asked what's the biggest surprise? It really is. It's how many unknowns. It's really all of those, just, wow, I didn't think that was going to happen, or I didn't see that coming. How much follow-up has to be in place. And really that's it.
Angie, if you would go back to when you started your business, what advice would you give yourself so that others can learn from you?
I definitely would have created a different set of accountability procedures in place early on. I trusted a lot of individuals early, and not that they didn't have the ability to do the things that were required of them, and not that they didn't have the right intention to do them. But life gets in the way. People's priorities change. And if you're not on top of that, and you don't have the processes and procedures to do that, and it doesn't necessarily have to be you, it can be delegated, but as the business owner, it ultimately falls on you. And so if I could go back in time, I would have said, are you sure? Are you sure you've got this? Are you sure you have this process down? How are you going to be able to stay on top to make sure that what you think or what you want to happen truly happens? And that would have been my number one piece of advice to myself so long ago.
That's a great piece of advice. I think hoping to become business owner, everybody just starting out or even been doing this for a while need to listen to that, because it's so important to really think through setting the processes in place. How are you going to hold yourself accountable? How are you going to make it happen? And don't get stuck in the planning phase and not get it done.
And also not being alone in business, right?
Yes.
Right. I think we've all learned that the hard way. And you said the word delegation. That is key, right?
Yes.
We forget we want to do everything ourselves and make everything perfect our way. And there are other ways, but if we delegate and hold that other person accountable, even if it's the way that we want it to be done, hey, it works. And it's less stressful. Let's, like we said a few weeks ago, let's work to live and not live to work. Right? Well, a lot of us forget that part. So no, that's great.
And also being a business owner can be a lonely place at times, right?
Yes.
So having someone and I think for us, I think we see that in coaching, that we can be that person for business owners that they can rely on. And we are that to each other, right, Nancy?
Yep, absolutely.
So it is important to have that person in your life as a business owner.
Absolutely. I got a few of those people.
Yes.
You're like, Anita is one. Awesome. And it's always you know, you want people on that same headspace as you,
Mm.
you know, even if they're a little bit higher, just not way lower, so that you guys can flow and have that journey together.
Mm-hmm. And I always say that, you know, as much as you love and care for and you're close to your friends and your family, that's not who you go to as a business owner, because you don't necessarily want to talk to them about everything that goes on in your business. Some things you don't want to share because you still want to sound like you're doing great and everything is good. So you need to have that person, someone in your life that you can share everything with and put it all out on the table, like even when it's not going great, right?
And just to add to that, not just anybody, also somebody who is in it for your success as well, and not only their own. We
Mhm.
see that every day. Like, how many sales pitches do we see every day? Like, it doesn't ever stop, like ever, right?
Yeah.
But being that authentic, being transparent, being that real person is really important when looking for an accountability partner and more. That's great.
Angie, thank you so much for sharing your story. It's like Emil said, it's really inspiring. And again, that's why we were so eager to have you on the show. And hopefully you'll come back one day and share more. So
Yes.
it's been
Love
great.
it. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Angie, very much for being here. It was a real pleasure. We're going to just take you off of screen for a few minutes, and then we're going to come back and join you and say our goodbyes.
Certainly. Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity.
See you soon.
Thank you.
Whew.
That was great. I love Angie. I love her story and what she's doing and how she's giving back to the community.
Oh, yes.
I don't know. You want to start with takeaways? A lot of takeaways from this, Nancy.
There was a lot. I mean, she went. I mean, I had to write some notes because it was just a lot. But I love her straightforwardness. I think in life and in business, that's very important. I'll be honest, my favorite part was when she was talking about her passion in what she did in her volunteer work. I love what she does in her food industry. Don't get me wrong. I love it. Like, I can't wait to taste what she makes. But what I took out of that is all our future with our kids, right? She goes to school and she teaches people, the kids who were never taught this, where that food, that green apple that you eat every day, what is that process? They don't understand. All they know is that their parents buy it from a grocery store. So that I find it's very nourishing. It helps them grow with real information, right?
Yeah.
And I loved her experience from her past and what she's learned. Very important to take the time to prioritize things in life. Things that are very important, put them in your calendar and just do them. Because it's not just for you, it's also for that other person, other company, other group, whoever it is that you're helping and you're inspiring. Take the time to do that. And it's a reminder for all of us, I believe.
And I think she had a great quote that she said, I think I'm saying it right, that your circumstances are not your destiny.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, she's like, yes, and backstage here. Yes, I love that quote. And it's so true. And she really epitomizes that, right? She's like, this is where I came from, and here's where I am. I had all these different circumstances, unconventional family, things going on in my personal life. Now I have to care for 4 children by myself. My job had to shut down twice. My first started a business got wiped out by a hurricane, and yet I'm still here, and I built these amazing relationships along the way, and I was able to get my business to where it is, and that's not my destiny. And it just really shows that your challenges are really your stepping blocks. You just continue stepping over them, you're overcoming the obstacles, and you're moving ahead until life eventually takes you to where you're meant to be.
Absolutely. And like she said, and it's so true, you cannot be prepared for everything. You got to run with what you have, learn from whatever it is, the mistakes, the good, the bad, the ugly, just learn from it, because you are going to have so many unknowns in life. And again, comes back to really important that we share this with our kids as well, so that they know what this is a crazier world day by day. Like every day it becomes even crazier, right?
So that's where the resilience comes in, right? And not giving up, just keep at it until you get there. And then I think to what you said earlier, Nancy, I think that's one of the things that stuck the most with me too, is her passion. Passion for, of course, wanting to be a business owner. She knew she wanted to be an entrepreneur, and she knew she could do it. And her passion was to now help small businesses that couldn't necessarily get what they needed from the larger companies, and to have a place where employees felt appreciated and could feel at home. And now giving back to battered women's shelters, to second chance felons. That's amazing. And just really, of course, and to the kids. And I think that's just being able to take all your experiences and now giving back to places you've been in life, and realizing that there are people that deserves a second chance. Just because you made a mistake 10 years ago doesn't mean that's the person you are today, and that shouldn't define 100%. Who you're going to be in the future. So I think that passion she has for that is amazing.
Yeah. And like she said, we could end it with this. We all deserve to win, no matter where they are in life, no matter where, right? We all have this thing called life that we have to go through. We deserve to have a good life. Now, where are you going to take it is where you need to decide what's going to drive you. Are you going to just sit there and do nothing with it? Or are you going to go and sit with somebody, talk to somebody to be able to inspire you and take your journey to the next level?
So I hope everybody else got as inspired as we did from this conversation.
Yes. So make sure that you keep in touch with Anita and myself to learn what else is going on, with opportunities for additional information, and to learn from us, of course. Don't miss any of our future episodes. Every Tuesday, 11 a.m. Eastern. You can always find a copy of our recordings on our YouTube channel at Impactful Business Voices. And please support us by clicking on the subscribe button so that you could get notified on every episode in our future.
And come back next Tuesday for another episode. We will be speaking with Ann Smith, and she's going to share, and this is such a great topic in what's going on today's work environment. She's going to share her best practices and lessons learned on attracting, engaging, and retaining employees, as well as building a culture where people can just collaborate, learn, and thrive in the workplace. So it's one of the biggest things we hear from clients these days. I can't find the right employees. I can't keep the right employees. And I think any business owner needs to listen to this episode and hear what Ann has to say.
Yes, that's wonderful. Everyone, until next week, go make an impact.
Thank you for listening to Impactful Business Voices. Subscribe now and don't miss an episode.